Maplewood Estates was supposed to be a peaceful, quiet neighborhood, until Karen Mitchell decided it was hers to control. For years, she had enforced the HOA rules like a tyrant. Fire, she fined people for unauthorized lawn decorations. Fire, she patrolled the neighborhood with her clipboard of doom. Fire, she even banned kids from riding bikes on the sidewalks. But now, she had a new target. Me. I ran a small medical supply business from my garage. Fire, not a loud factory. Fire, not a busy storefront. Fire, just a place where I stored supplies for local clinics and senior homes. It was legal. It was approved. And it was important. But Karen? Karen didn't care. Because one day, I got a notice taped to my door. Immediate cease and desist order. Your home business is in violation of HOA regulations. All commercial activity must be discontinued immediately. Failure to comply will result in further action. Karen Mitchell, HOA president. Lisa, my next-door neighbor, snatched the letter from my hands. She groaned. "Oh, you have got to be kidding me." Mark, my other neighbor, leaned over. "Wait, didn't the city approve your business?" I sighed. "Yeah, and Karen has no authority over it." Lisa smirked. "Then let's have some fun." Karen didn't just send a letter. Fire, she reported me to the HOA board. Fire, she called the city to verify my permit. Fire, she even tried to get my delivery stopped. But what Karen didn't realize. Fire, I wasn't just selling random junk. Fire, I was providing essential medical supplies. Fire, to hospitals, clinics, and senior homes. She thought she was shutting down a business. She was about to declare war on the entire healthcare system. Karen called for an immediate HOA board meeting. Fire, her goal? Get my business shut down. Fire, her excuse? It disrupts the peace. Lisa grinned. She has no idea what's coming, does she? I smirked. Not a clue. Because before the meeting? Fire, I made some calls. Fire, Karen stood at the front, arms crossed. Fire, the HOA board sat in a row, ready to vote. Fire, and the entire neighborhood watched. Karen cleared her throat. Fire, we are gathered here today because of a serious violation. She pointed at me. Fire, this homeowner is running an illegal business out of their garage. Gasps. Murmurs. Karen smirked. She thought she had won. Then, the doors swung open. Fire and my supporters walked in. Fire, a doctor from the local hospital. Fire, a representative from a senior home. Fire, a city official who personally approved my business permit. The doctor stepped forward. Fire, without these supplies, our clinic would struggle to care for patients. The senior home director shook her head. Fire, this business helps hundreds of elderly residents. We rely on it. The city official held up a document. Fire, this business is fully approved by the city. The HOA has no jurisdiction here. Karen's smile vanished. She tried to interrupt. But the HOA president raised his hand. Fire, enough, Karen. You're overstepping your authority. Again. Karen's face turned bright red. Lisa leaned over. That's the sound of your power crumbling, Karen. And just like that. Fire, the HOA board officially ruled in my favor. Karen? Fire, completely humiliated. Karen stormed out of the meeting. But she wasn't done yet. Fire, she tried to file another complaint, denied. Fire, she tried to get the city to review. My permit, denied. Fire, she tried to intimidate me, failed. And then? Fire, she tried to report me to the police. It was her final, desperate move. And it backfired spectacularly. Fire, a patrol car pulled up in front of Karen's house. Fire, a uniformed officer knocked on her door. Fire, and the entire neighborhood watched. Karen opened the door, smug. Officer, thank you for coming. I need you to shut down my neighbors. The officer cut her off. Fire, ma'am, we're here because you filed a false report. Karen froze. Wait, what? The officer held up his notepad. Fire, the city has confirmed their business is legal. You've wasted police resources. That's a violation. Karen's face turned white. The officer handed her a citation. Fire, $500 fine for filing a false report. Lisa gasped. Oh my God. Mark started laughing. Karen choked on air. But The officer put on his sunglasses. Fire, have a nice day, ma'am. And with that, Fire Karen was officially legally punished. Fire her power? Gone. Fire her reputation? Destroyed. Fire her ability to harass me? Completely neutralized. Lisa grinned. So, we won. Mark smirked. Oh yeah. And now? We celebrate. I smiled. Because Maplewood Estates? Fire was finally, truly free. And Karen Mitchell? Fire would never mess with me again. The HOA? Stripped of power. Karen? Fined, humiliated, and defeated. The neighborhood? Celebrating her downfall. For years, Karen Mitchell ruled Maplewood Estates with her iron clipboard. Fire she fined people for nonsense. Fire she harassed homeowners. Fire she tried to shut down my legal, life-saving business. But now? Fire she was powerless. Fire she was fined for filing false reports. Fire she was forced to accept that the HOA couldn't touch me. Lisa leaned back in her chair. So, what happens to Karen now? Mark grinned. She's got nothing left. No HOA power. No credibility. No way to mess with you. I smirked. Then let's see how she handles being the most hated person in the neighborhood. Because Karen Mitchell? Fire was about to get a taste of her own medicine. After Karen's public humiliation, things in Maplewood Estates changed. Fire neighbors stopped listening to her. Fire people ignored her complaint emails. Fire her friends in the HOA started distancing themselves. Lisa smirked. Oh wow, it's like she's suddenly irrelevant. Karen tried one last thing. Fire she threw a fit in the HOA group chat. Karen Mitchell, this neighborhood is falling apart. The HOA is supposed to maintain order. Lisa, Karen, the HOA was never about power trips. Mark, we're fine without your leadership. Random neighbor number 1. Maybe you're the problem, Karen. Random neighbor number 2. Yeah, Karen. Maybe take a break. Fire Karen left the chat. Lisa cackled. She rage quit. Mark leaned back. She's done. But we weren't finished with her. Because it was time for Karen to pay. Fire Karen spent years fining people for ridiculous violations. Fire now? She was about to get fined herself. Mark grinned. Let's play her game, against her. Fire we reported Karen's own violations to the city. Heavy check mark she had an unapproved mailbox. Heavy check mark her front yard shrubs were overgrown. Heavy check mark her fence was too high. Fire she received 3 city citations in 1 week. Lisa laughed. Oh my god. She's getting fined for the same nonsense she used against us. Karen? Fire had a full meltdown. She tried to appeal the fines. Fire the city denied her. She tried to blame us. Fire the city didn't care. For the first time in her miserable life, Fire Karen was on the receiving end of pointless rules. And she hated it. Fire Karen was once feared. Fire now? She was a laughingstock. Lisa started a Karen meme page. Fire, HOA Karen strikes again. Memes went viral in the neighborhood. Fire neighbors started calling any dumb rule a Karen violation. Fire even the new HOA board ignored her. Karen? Fire couldn't show her face without people smirking. She tried to issue a fake HOA fine again. Fire nobody paid it. She tried to hold a community meeting. Fire nobody showed up. She had officially lost. And then, Fire she put her house up for sale. Fire Karen couldn't stand being powerless. Fire she couldn't handle being ignored. Fire she couldn't live in a neighborhood where she had no control. Mark grinned. She's running away. Lisa nodded. It's over. We won. Karen packed her things, avoiding eye contact with neighbors. Fire the same people she once controlled, now laughed as she left. And when the moving truck finally pulled away, Fire Maplewood Estates was finally free. Lisa exhaled. So, is she really gone? Mark chuckled. If she ever comes back, we'll just fine her. I smirked. Yeah. HOA Karen is officially punished. And Maplewood Estates? Fire would never be ruled by an HOA tyrant again. The HOA? Dead. Karen? Exiled. The neighborhood? Finally free, or so we thought. For years, Karen Mitchell ruled Maplewood Estates like a dictator. Fire, she fined people for minor infractions. Fire, she harassed homeowners. Fire, she tried to shut down my legal business. We fought back. Fire, we got her fined. Fire, we destroyed her reputation. Fire, we drove her out of the neighborhood. Lisa grinned. She's finally gone. Mark smirked. Yeah, Karen's never coming back. I exhaled. Yeah, it's over. But some people. Fire refused to stay buried. Fire. Because weeks after she moved away, we started receiving letters. One morning, I checked my mail. Fire, a new HOA violation letter was waiting for me, which was impossible because the HOA was gone. Lisa snatched it from my hands. No. Nope. Nope. Mark frowned. Who the hell is sending these? Karen's gone. But the letter? Fire, it was written in Karen's exact handwriting. Lisa whispered. This isn't real, right? Mark clenched his fists. It's gotta be a copycat. I took a deep breath. Or maybe Karen never really left. We dug deeper. Fire, someone was trying to revive the HOA. Fire, someone was delivering these fake violation letters. Fire, someone was keeping Karen's rules alive. And then, one night, Lisa caught them in the act. Fire, a hooded figure, sneaking through the neighborhood, slipping letters into mailboxes. Lisa grabbed her phone. Fire, she snapped a picture. Mark squinted. Wait, is that? Lisa gasped. Fire, that's Deborah. The Karen wannabe. The woman who tried to restart the HOA after Karen left. She was back. Fire, and she was trying to revive Karen's legacy. We confronted Deborah. Fire, she denied everything. Fire, she claimed she was just protecting the neighborhood. Fire, she said she was following Karen's last wishes. Lisa groaned. Oh my God. She's like a freaking cult leader. Mark cracked his knuckles. Then we need to make sure she never tries this again. Fire, step 1, expose her to the neighborhood. Fire, step 2, get legal action against her. Fire, step 3, make sure HOA Karen's name is erased forever. Fire, we leaked every letter Deborah had sent. Fire, we reported her fake HOA to the city. Fire, we ensured Karen's name was legally removed from all community records. Deborah? Fire was completely shut down. Fire, her followers abandoned her. Fire, she tried to fight back, failed. And just like that? Fire, the last trace of HOA Karen was erased. Lisa, Mark, and I stood on my porch, watching the sunset. Lisa sipped her drink. You think Karen's watching from wherever the hell she is? Mark laughed. If she is, she's probably screaming. I smirked. Fire, Karen Mitchell is officially forgotten. Fire, and nothing can bring her back now. For the first time in years. Fire, there were no rules. Fire, no HOA threats. Fire, no Karen. Maplewood Estates? Fire was free. Forever. The HOA? Gone. Karen? Erased from history. The neighborhood? Finally at peace, or so we thought. For years, we fought Karen Mitchell's tyranny. Fire, we exposed her lies. Fire, we got her fined. Fire, we drove her out of Maplewood Estates. Her name was wiped from every HOA record. Her wannabe cult leader, Deborah, was defeated. Lisa stretched. That's it, right? No more HOA crap? Mark smirked. She's history. No HOA. No Karen. No problems. I took a deep breath. Yeah. Fire, Karen Mitchell is finally gone. Or so we thought. One morning, Lisa ran to my house, breathless. She shoved her phone in my face. Lena, she gasped. Look. I stared at the screen. And my blood ran cold. Fire, Karen's house was listed for sale. Lisa's voice shook. That's impossible. We watched it get torn down. Mark leaned in. Wait. If it was demolished, how is it back? Lisa whispered. What if she never really left? Fire, Karen's house was fully rebuilt. Fire, identical to before, same beige siding, same ugly shrubs. Fire, and the worst part? It was up for an open house. Lisa groaned. We have to go. Mark sighed. This is a bad idea. But we went anyway. Because if Karen's house was back. Fire, then maybe Karen was too. We walked through the front door. And immediately, something felt wrong. Fire, the air was too cold. Fire, the lights flickered, even though it was daytime. Fire, and on the kitchen counter. Fire, a clipboard sat there. Waiting. Lisa's hands shook. Oh, hell no. Mark whispered. This is Karen's setup. I stepped forward. And that's when I saw it. Fire, a fresh violation notice. Fire addressed to me. Lisa grabbed my arm. We need to leave. Now. But then. Fire, the door slammed shut. Fire, the windows locked themselves. Fire, and a voice whispered from nowhere. Fire, Maplewood Estates will never be free. Lisa screamed. Mark cursed. And me? I turned around. Fire, and saw her. Fire, Karen stood at the top of the stairs. Fire, blonde bob. Cardigan. Smug expression. Fire, clipboard in hand. Lisa froze. No. No, 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 nope. Mark's face turned white. What the hell? Karen smirked. Fire, you thought you could erase me? I clenched my fists. Karen, you're dead. You have no power anymore. Karen tilted her head. Fire, oh, but I do. And now? You all have violations. Lisa whispered. How do we stop a freaking ghost? Mark muttered. Same way we stopped her when she was alive. I grinned. Fire, we break every rule. Fire, Lisa knocked over a perfectly stacked pile of rulebooks. Fire, Mark ripped down her approved HOA colors chart. Fire, I grabbed her clipboard and snapped it in half. Karen screamed. Fire, non-compliant. Non-compliant. Lisa grinned. Oh, you're gonna hate this. Fire, she pulled out a neon pink lawn flamingo and planted it in the living room. Karen's form flickered. Fire, the house shook. Fire, the clipboard disintegrated. Fire, Karen shrieked. Nua, the rules. The ordeer. Fire, and then she was gone. Fire, the house collapsed into nothing. Fire, the violation letters burned to ash. Fire, Karen's ghost? Erased. Forever. Lisa gasped. Did we just exorcise HOA Karen? Mark laughed. We sent her straight to HOA hell. I took a deep breath. Fire, Karen Mitchell is finally gone. And Maplewood Estates? Fire was free. Forever. The HOA? Gone. Karen? Exorcised. The neighborhood? Finally at peace, or so we thought. For years, Karen Mitchell terrorized Maplewood Estates. Fire, she fined people for nonsense. Fire, she harassed homeowners. Fire, she tried to destroy my business. We fought back. Fire, we drove her out. Fire, we erased her HOA. Fire, we burned her ghost out of existence. Lisa stretched. She's really gone this time, right? Mark smirked. No HOA. No Karen. No problems. I exhaled. Yeah. Fire, it's finally over. Then I checked my mail. And my stomach dropped. Fire, a single, burnt violation notice sat inside. Lisa's hands shook. Tell me that's a joke. I turned it over. You can never escape the rules. Karen Mitchell. The wind howled. The air turned cold. And we realized. Fire, Karen wasn't done with us yet. Fire, new violation notices appeared on random doorsteps. Fire, neighbors swore they heard clipboard scratches in the wind. Fire, streetlights flickered whenever someone broke an HOA rule. Lisa whispered. Lena, what if we didn't actually destroy her? Mark sighed. She's dead. We saw her house collapse. I clenched my fists. Then why is she still issuing violations? Lisa exhaled. We need to make sure she's gone. Mark nodded. Fire, then let's find the last place she's hiding. Fire, we searched the entire neighborhood. Fire, every house, every mailbox, every hidden file. Fire, and then we found it. Karen's old storage unit. Lisa groaned. Of course she had a backup plan. Mark forced the door open. Inside? Fire, an entire shrine to HOA rules. Heavy checkmark stacks of violation notices ready to be sent. Heavy checkmark HOA rulebooks from the last 20 years. Heavy checkmark a framed photo of Karen with the words, Maplewood will be perfect, beneath it. Lisa muttered, this is some horror movie crap. Mark grabbed a box of papers. What do we do with all this? I smirked. Fire, we burn it. Fire, we set everything on fire. Fire, every letter, every rulebook, every clipboard. Fire the last remains of HOA Karen, reduced to ash. Lisa cheered. Burn, Karen, burn. Mark laughed. This is the only HOA bonfire I'll ever support. As the flames engulfed her last belongings. Fire the air grew warmer. Fire the wind stopped howling. Fire, and for the first time in years, Maplewood Estates felt truly free. I exhaled. Fire, now it's over. Fire, no more violation letters. Fire, no more hauntings. Fire, no more Karen. Lisa grinned. She's really gone this time. Mark smirked. And if she ever comes back? I smiled. Fire, we'll burn her all over again. Because Maplewood Estates? Fire was finally, permanently HOA free. And Karen Mitchell? Fire would never return. The HOA? Gone. Karen? Destroyed. The neighborhood? Finally, truly free. For years, Karen Mitchell tormented Maplewood Estates. Fire, she fined innocent homeowners. Fire, she tried to shut down my business. Fire, she attempted to resurrect her HOA, even from beyond the grave. We fought back. Fire, we burned her last stash of violation notices. Fire, we destroyed every trace of her HOA rulebooks. Fire, we erased her from history. Lisa stretched. Okay, this time, it's really over. Mark smirked. No Karen. No HOA. No problems. I exhaled. Yeah, this time, she's never coming back. And for months? Fire, nothing happened. No fines. No complaints. No HOA nightmares. Maplewood Estates was finally at peace. Until one night. Fire, we heard the knocking. Fire, bang. 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 Someone was at my door. I checked the clock, 3 a.m. Lisa texted me. Mobile phone Lisa. Dude. Someone's knocking on my door too. Mobile phone Mark. Same. WTF? I grabbed a baseball bat. Fire, I opened the door. And there, on my porch. Fire was a single, freshly written HOA violation notice. Lisa ran over. Fire, she had one too. Mark arrived, holding his. Lisa whispered, tell me this is a joke. I turned my letter over. Fire, no return address. Fire, no explanation. Fire, just one chilling sentence at the bottom. You can never escape the rules. Karen Mitchell. Mark's face went pale. No. No. We got rid of her. We burned everything. Lisa swallowed hard. Then why is she still sending violations? The wind howled. The streetlights flickered. And we realized. Fire, Karen wasn't done with us yet. We grabbed flashlights and searched the entire neighborhood. Fire, no footprints. Fire, no cameras caught anything. Fire, no one saw who delivered the letters. Lisa muttered, this is some paranormal HOA bullshit. Mark sighed. It has to be a copycat. Someone's screwing with us. I clenched my fists. Fire, then let's find out who. Fire, we set a trap. Heavy check mark, we set up cameras on every porch. Heavy check mark, we placed fake violation notices in our mailboxes to see if someone updated them. Heavy check mark, we stayed up all night waiting. At exactly 3 a.m. Fire, a shadowy figure approached Lisa's house. The cameras glitched. Lisa whispered, oh my God. Someone's actually doing this. Mark grabbed a flashlight. Go. We sprinted outside. Fire, and tackled the intruder. Lisa ripped off their hood. And underneath? Fire, it was Deborah. The HOA Karen wannabe. Lisa groaned. Oh, come on. Mark pinned her down. Why the hell are you still doing this? Deborah grinned. Fire, Karen's legacy will never die. Fire, we turned Deborah over to the police. Fire, we exposed her attempt to restart Karen's HOA. Fire, she was banned from community leadership forever. And with her arrest. Fire, the last remnant of Karen Mitchell's rule was gone. Lisa sighed. Is it actually over this time? Mark nodded. No Karen. No cult. No HOA. I smiled. Fire, we won. For real this time. And Maplewood Estates? Fire was finally, permanently HOA free. Fire, with no one left to enforce her rules. Fire, with no one left to carry her legacy. Fire, Karen Mitchell was truly forgotten. Lisa kicked back. Do you think she's watching us from HOA hell? Mark laughed. Oh yeah, and she's probably furious. I smirked. Fire, she can watch all she wants. She'll never rule again. Because Karen Mitchell? Fire was erased from history. And Maplewood Estates? Fire would never have an HOA again. The HOA? Destroyed. Karen? Gone. The neighborhood? Finally free, or so we thought. For years, Karen Mitchell ruled Maplewood Estates with an iron clipboard. Fire, she fined homeowners for nonsense. Fire, she tried to shut down my business. Fire, she even haunted us from beyond the grave. We fought back. Fire, we got her cult leader arrested. Fire, we burned every trace of her HOA rules. Fire, we erased her from history. Lisa stretched. So, now it's over, right? Mark grinned. No HOA. No Karen. No more problems. I exhaled. Yeah, she's gone forever. Then the power went out. Fire, every house on the block, dark. Lisa grabbed my arm. Oh, hell no. And from the darkness, we heard it. Fire, a single, loud clipboard clap. Mark whispered. Tell me that was thunder. The wind howled. And a voice echoed from the shadows. Fire, you can never escape the rules. Lisa screamed. Mark cursed. And I turned around. Fire, and saw her. Fire, Karen stood in the middle of the street. Fire, blonde bob. Cardigan. Clipboard in hand. Fire, but this time her eyes glowed red. Lisa grabbed my arm. Nope. Nope. Not dealing with ghost Karen again. Mark clenched his fists. We exorcised her. How the hell is she still here? Karen grinned. Fire, you destroyed my house. You erased my rules. You tried to banish me. She raised her clipboard. Fire, but the HOA never dies. Lisa whispered. What do we do? Mark muttered. We do the one thing she can't stand. I smirked. Fire, we break every rule. Fire, we turned on every illegal lawn decoration. Fire, we dragged our trash cans to the curb on the wrong day. Fire, we parked a car on the lawn. Karen shrieked. Fire, non-compliant. Non-compliant. Lisa laughed. Oh, Karen, you're gonna hate this. She grabbed a garden gnome. Fire, and smashed it on the sidewalk. Karen's form glitched. Fire, the wind howled. Fire, the street cracked beneath her. Fire, her clipboard started burning. Mark grinned. One last touch. Fire, he grabbed a flamingo lawn ornament and stuck it in the middle of the street. Karen screamed. Fire, Nua. The rules. The order. The sky ripped open. Fire, a giant flaming portal appeared beneath her feet. Lisa gasped. Oh my God. Karen tried to hold on. Fire, Maplewood Estates will never be free. I smirked. Fire, yes. It will. And with one final kick. Fire, we sent HOA Karen straight to hell. Fire, the sky cleared. Fire, the power came back. Fire, the last HOA violation disappeared. Lisa collapsed onto the sidewalk. Tell me that was the final battle. Mark exhaled. We sent her straight into the HOA afterlife. She's not coming back. I took a deep breath. Fire, Karen Mitchell is finally, completely gone. And Maplewood Estates? Fire was free. Forever. Fire, Karen opened her eyes. She gasped, looked around, and realized. Fire, she was in a new neighborhood. But not just any neighborhood. Fire, an HOA where Esichi was the homeowner. Fire, a place where Esichi was constantly fined. Fire, a world where Esichi had no power. Karen ran to the HOA office. Fire, she tried to complain, denied. Fire, she tried to issue a fine, ignored. Fire, she tried to take control, laughed at. The HOA president smirked. Fire, welcome to HOA hell, Karen. Karen screamed. Fire, Nua. And her clipboard? Fire shattered into dust. For the first time ever. Fire, Karen was trapped in her own HOA nightmare. And this time? Fire, she could never escape. The HOA? Dead. Karen? Banished. The neighborhood? Finally, permanently free. For years, Karen Mitchell ruled Maplewood Estates with an iron clipboard. Fire, she fined innocent homeowners. Fire, she terrorized the neighborhood. Fire, she tried to control us, even from beyond the grave. We fought back. Fire, we burned her last rulebook. Fire, we exorcised her from existence. Fire, we sent her straight to HOA hell. Lisa stretched. So, for real this time, she's gone? Mark grinned. She's suffering in an eternal HOA nightmare. I smirked. Yeah, Karen Mitchell is never coming back. Because right now, Fire, she was getting a taste of her own medicine. Fire, Karen opened her eyes. She was standing in front of a house. Her house, or at least, that's what she thought. Until she looked closer. Fire, the mailbox was the wrong color. Fire, the grass was growing unevenly. Fire, a pink flamingo was sitting on the lawn. Karen gasped. Fire, who did this to my property? She stormed toward the front door. Fire, and found a violation notice taped to it. Notice of noncompliance. Your home is in violation of HOA regulations. Please correct these issues immediately. HOA President Gretchen. Karen's blood ran cold. She turned. Fire, and saw an entire street of identical houses. Fire, every single one monitored by HOA cameras. Fire, every single one under strict HOA control. And worst of all, Fire, she wasn't the enforcer anymore. She was just another homeowner. And the HOA was controlling her. Fire, a siren blared. Karen turned. A golf cart sped toward her. Fire, driven by HOA President Gretchen. Karen stepped back. Who are you? I'm the HOA president. Gretchen smirked. Fire, not anymore, Karen. Two HOA enforcers grabbed her arms. Fire, they dragged her into the HOA courthouse. Karen struggled. You can't do this. Fire, but for the first time in her life, she had no power. The HOA tribunal sat at a long table. Fire, demon HOA judges in beige suits. Fire, stacks of violation notices in front of them. Gretchen stepped forward. Fire, Karen Mitchell, you have been found guilty of repeated HOA violations. Karen's eyes widened. Fire, no. You don't understand. I'm supposed to be the one giving violations. The tribunal ignored her. Fire, your punishment is as follows. Heavy checkmark daily fines for every infraction. Heavy checkmark mandatory HOA training meetings for eternity. Heavy checkmark no leadership privileges. Ever. Karen screamed. Fire, Nua. But the tribunal just smiled. Fire, welcome to HOA hell, Karen. Fire, every day, Karen woke up to a new fine. Fire, every day, HOA enforcers measured her grass. Fire, every day, she suffered under impossible rules. Heavy checkmark her curtains weren't regulation beige. Fined. Heavy checkmark her trash cans were out 30 seconds too early. Fined. Heavy checkmark she complained too much in the HOA meetings. Fined. Karen tried to fight back. Fire, I demand to speak to the HOA president. Gretchen smirked. Fire, denied. Karen tried to start a petition. Fire, petitions are prohibited under HOA rule number 47. She tried to file a complaint. Fire, the HOA ignored it. Karen? Fire was powerless. Fire, just another homeowner suffering under the HOA nightmare she once created. And worst of all, Fire, she could never leave. Fire, in the real world, Maplewood Estates was free. Lisa kicked back. So, do you think she's still screaming down there? Mark laughed. She's probably being fined as we speak. I smiled. Because Karen Mitchell? Fire was stuck in HOA hell. Fire forever. And Maplewood Estates? Fire would never have an HOA again. The HOA? Destroyed. Karen? Trapped in an endless cycle of HOA fines. The neighborhood? Finally, permanently free. For years, Karen Mitchell ruled Maplewood Estates with an iron clipboard. Fire, she fined innocent homeowners for ridiculous violations. Fire, she controlled the HOA with an iron fist. Fire, she even tried to rule from beyond the grave. We fought back. Fire, we erased her from history. Fire, we burned every last rulebook. Fire, we sent her straight to HOA hell. Lisa smirked. She's probably having the worst time of her life right now. Mark chuckled. You know what? Let's check in on her. Because right now, Fire Karen Mitchell was suffering like never before. Fire Karen was dragged back into the HOA courtroom. She struggled, but the enforcers held her tight. Fire, the tribunal glared at her from their podiums. The middle judge banged his gavel. Fire, Karen Mitchell, you have failed to comply with HOA regulations once again. Karen shrieked. But I'm trying. Fire, your grass is 0.2 inches too long. Fire, your shutters are the incorrect shade of beige. Fire, your mailbox is not HOA approved. Karen's eye twitched. Fire, then let me fix it. The judge smirked. Fire, denied. Instead, we're issuing you a new penalty. Karen gulped. Fire, effective immediately, you will serve as the lowest-ranking HOA employee. Karen froze. Fire, you will deliver fines, but you will never have the power to issue them. Fire, you will enforce rules, but you will never have a say in making them. Fire, you will answer to the very system you once created. Karen's face turned white. Fire, no. You can't do this to me. The judge smiled. Fire, we already have. Fire, Karen was given an ugly beige uniform. Fire, her clipboard was replaced with a scanner that tracked every infraction. Fire, she was assigned the worst job in the HOA, violation delivery. Every morning, she woke up to a list of fines, not for her to issue, but for her to deliver to others. And the worst part? Fire, she was required to apologize to every homeowner she fined. Fire, Karen knocked on the first door. A smug-looking neighbor answered. Fire, oh, hey, Karen. Finally getting a taste of your own medicine. Karen gritted her teeth. Fire, I'm here to deliver your violation notice. The neighbor smirked. Fire, and? Karen's hands shook. Fire, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. The neighbor burst out laughing. Fire, oh, this is gold. Do it again. Say it like you mean it. Karen bit her tongue. Fire, and then she had to do it 50 more times. Every single day. Fire, her mailbox was checked daily for her violations. Fire, her fines never stopped increasing. Fire, every time she argued, her penalties doubled. One day, she tried to protest at an HOA meeting. Fire, these rules are unfair. I used to be president. The room exploded with laughter. Gretchen, the new HOA queen, smirked. Fire, not anymore, Karen. Now, you're just another resident. Karen's face turned bright red. Fire, for the first time in her miserable existence, she was powerless. And this was her eternity. Fire, no control. Fire, no respect. Fire, no way out. Karen Mitchell? Fire was trapped in the same HOA hell she had once forced on others. Lisa leaned back, sipping her drink. Fire, do you think she's still screaming? Mark laughed. Fire, every single day. I smirked. Fire, good. She deserves it. Because Maplewood Estates? Fire was finally, permanently HOA-free. And Karen? Fire would never escape. The HOA? Dead. Karen? Trapped in HOA hell. The neighborhood? Finally, permanently free. For years, Karen Mitchell ruled Maplewood Estates with an iron clipboard. Fire, she fined innocent homeowners for nonsense. Fire, she harassed the entire neighborhood. Fire, she tried to control us, even from beyond the grave. We fought back. Fire, we destroyed her HOA. Fire, we erased her from history. Fire, we sent her to the one place she could never escape, an eternal HOA nightmare. Lisa smirked. She's probably losing her mind down there. Mark laughed. Yeah. And every second of it is pure karma. Because right now, Fire, Karen Mitchell was suffering like never before. Fire, Karen woke up in her beige, regulation-approved bedroom. A loudspeaker crackled above her bed. Fire, good morning, Karen. Time to serve your HOA sentence. Karen groaned. Fire, no. I refuse. But then, Fire, her fine tracker blinked red. Heavy checkmark, refusal to report to HOA duty, $250 fine. Heavy checkmark, failure to comply with HOA regulations, $500 fine. Heavy checkmark, unapproved attitude, warning issued. Karen screamed. Fire, Nua. This isn't fair. A robotic voice replied. Fire, fairness is not an HOA regulation. Karen collapsed to the floor. Fire, I can't live like this. The speaker crackled again. Fire, live? Oh, Karen, you're not living. You're just existing. Fire, every morning, Karen had to deliver violation notices to herself. Heavy checkmark, your lawn is 0.1 inches too long. Heavy checkmark, your curtains are not HOA approved. Heavy checkmark, your mailbox is 3 degrees tilted. Huge violation. Fire every afternoon, Karen had to attend HOA meetings where she had no power. Heavy checkmark, she had to sit in silence while other HOA leaders made rules. Heavy checkmark, she had to agree with every policy, and no exceptions. Heavy checkmark, she was not allowed to speak unless spoken to. Fire every night, she received a list of new rules she had to memorize. Heavy checkmark, there were 10,000 plus HOA regulations, and they changed daily. Heavy checkmark, if she forgot a rule, she was fined. Heavy checkmark, if she tried to argue, she was fined. Fire, and worst of all, Fire, she had to apologize to every resident she ever fined in her past life. One day, she knocked on a door. Fire, a man she fined for illegal garden gnomes opened the door. He smirked. Fire, oh, Karen. I remember you. Say it. Karen choked back rage. Fire, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. The man laughed. Fire, say it louder. Karen gritted her teeth. Fire, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. The man smirked. Fire, good girl. Now do that for the next 1,000 people you harassed. Karen? Fire had never felt so powerless. Fire, one day, Karen tried to start a petition against the HOA. She gathered other suffering homeowners. Fire, we must overthrow the HOA. We must take back control. They nodded. They agreed. And then, the HOA police arrived. Fire, Karen was dragged into the courthouse. Fire, Gretchen, the head HOA president, smirked. Fire, Karen Mitchell, you are guilty of rebellion against the HOA. Karen screamed. Fire, it's not a rebellion. It's justice. The court gasped. Fire, the judge banged his gavel. Fire, justice is not an HOA regulation. Karen? Fire was sentenced to HOA solitary confinement. Fire, Karen was locked in an HOA-approved beige room. Heavy checkmark, no decorations. Heavy checkmark, no complaints allowed. Heavy checkmark, only HOA rulebooks to read. Fire, every hour, a speaker whispered HOA violations to her. Heavy checkmark, your socks are not HOA approved. Heavy checkmark, your breathing is too loud. Fine issued. Heavy checkmark, your existence is not compliant. Fire, Karen was breaking. She tried to fight back. Fire, she screamed. She begged. She tried to write new rules. But the system ignored her. Fire, she was no longer the enforcer. Fire, she was the one being controlled. And HOA hell had no mercy. Fire, Karen Mitchell will never escape. Fire, she will spend eternity following impossible rules. Fire, she will never hold power again. Lisa sipped her drink. Fire, so, she's really gone? Mark laughed. Fire, oh yeah. And she's being fined as we speak. I smirked. Fire, perfect. That's exactly what she deserves. Because Maplewood Estates? Fire was finally, permanently HOA-free. And Karen Mitchell? Fire would never escape HOA hell. The HOA? Destroyed. Karen? Trapped in HOA hell. The neighborhood? Finally, permanently free. For years, Karen Mitchell ruled Maplewood Estates with an iron clipboard. Fire, she fined homeowners for nonsense. Fire, she terrorized the entire neighborhood. Fire, she tried to control us, even from beyond the grave. We fought back. Fire, we erased her from history. Fire, we burned every last rulebook. Fire, we sent her to the one place she could never escape, an eternal HOA nightmare. Lisa grinned. She's probably pulling her hair out down there. Mark smirked. And every time she complains, she gets another fine. Because right now, Fire, Karen Mitchell was suffering in ways she never imagined. Fire, Karen sat in a cold, beige-colored room. No decorations. No windows. No control. A screen flickered in front of her. Fire, HOA compliance test number 8472. A robotic voice spoke. Fire, Karen Mitchell, your score is 3%. Karen clenched her fists. Fire, how am I failing? I know all the rules. The screen flashed. Fire, incorrect. HOA rules change every minute. Karen screamed. Fire, this is impossible. The voice replied. Fire, compliance is mandatory. Failure results in fines. Karen's tracker beeped. Heavy checkmark incorrect answers, $500 fine. Heavy checkmark speaking out of turn, $250 fine. Heavy checkmark attempting to argue, double fines issued. Karen collapsed to the floor. Fire, for the first time in her miserable existence, she understood what it meant to be powerless. Fire Karen was assigned a new punishment, HOA labor. Every day, she had to perform pointless, never-ending tasks. Heavy checkmark, she repainted fences, only for the HOA to change the approved color the next day. Heavy checkmark, she trimmed hedges to the perfect height, only for them to be too short the next morning. Heavy checkmark, she filed paperwork, only for the rules to be rewritten while she was working. Fire, no matter what she did, she was always out of compliance. One day, she tried to refuse. Fire, I won't do this anymore. The HOA judge smirked. Fire, refusal to comply? That's another fine. Karen's eye twitched. Fire, how many fines do I have now? A screen popped up. Fire, total fines, $9,879,256. Karen screamed. Fire, she was trapped. Fire, she would never escape. Fire, the HOA added a new rule. Karen must write apology letters. Every morning, she had to write 1,000 personalized apology letters to every person she ever fined in her past life. Fire, dear homeowner, I am sorry for being a power-hungry tyrant. Fire, dear homeowner, I apologize for making your life miserable. Fire, dear homeowner, I regret every single fine I ever issued. And the worst part? Fire, if she didn't write them perfectly, she had to start over. Karen's hands shook. Fire, I can't do this. The screen flashed. Fire, failure to complete apology quota, $1,000 fine. Karen's vision blurred. Fire, this was her eternity. Fire, no control. No respect. No escape. Fire, Karen Mitchell will never hold power again. Fire, she will be forced to obey every impossible rule. Fire, she will never escape HOA hell. Lisa leaned back, sipping her drink. Fire, do you think she's still trying to argue with the HOA judges? Mark laughed. Fire, oh yeah. And every time she opens her mouth, they double her fines. I smirked. Fire, good. That's exactly what she deserves. Because Maplewood Estates? Fire was finally, permanently HOA free. And Karen Mitchell? Fire would never escape. The HOA? Destroyed. Karen? Trapped in an endless HOA prison. The neighborhood? Finally, permanently free. For years, Karen Mitchell ruled Maplewood Estates with an iron clipboard. Fire, she fined innocent homeowners for nonsense. Fire, she terrorized the entire neighborhood. Fire, she tried to control us, even from beyond the grave. We fought back. Fire, we erased her from history. Fire, we burned every last rulebook. Fire, we sent her to the one place she could never escape, an eternal HOA nightmare. Lisa stretched. She's really gone this time, right? Mark smirked. Oh, she's not just gone. She's suffering. Forever. Because right now, Fire Karen Mitchell was living through the worst punishment imaginable. Fire Karen sat in front of the HOA tribunal. The head judge glared at her. Fire Karen Mitchell, your violations are beyond measure. Karen clenched her fists. Fire, I was the HOA president. The judge smirked. Fire, not anymore. The courtroom erupted in laughter. Karen's face turned white. Fire, for your crimes, your punishment is as follows. Heavy checkmark, you will follow every HOA rule, without exception. Heavy checkmark, you will never be in charge again. Heavy checkmark, you will live under the strictest HOA regulations in history. Karen gasped. Fire, no. You can't do this to me. The judge banged the gavel. Fire, sentence confirmed. Enjoy your new home, Karen. Fire Karen was transported to a perfect, HOA-controlled neighborhood. Heavy checkmark, every house was identical. Heavy checkmark, every lawn was inspected daily. Heavy checkmark, every mailbox was exactly 42 inches tall. Karen tried to change something. Fire, I want to modify my shutters. The HOA enforcer shook his head. Fire, denied. That's a fine. Karen froze. Fire, what? But her tracker beeped. Heavy checkmark unauthorized request. $500 fine. Karen's eye twitched. Fire, she was no longer the enforcer. Fire, she was the one being controlled. And there was no escape. Fire, every morning, she received a list of new violations. Heavy checkmark, your hedges are 0.3 inches too high. Fine issued. Heavy checkmark, your driveway is not perfectly clean. Fine issued. Heavy checkmark, you asked too many questions at the HOA meeting. Fine issued. Fire, every evening, she had to recite the HOA handbook. If she forgot a rule, fire, more fines. If she tried to argue, fire, double fines. Karen? Fire was drowning in HOA bureaucracy. And for the first time ever, fire, she had no power. One day, Karen snapped. Fire, I refuse to follow these rules. The HOA enforcer smirked. Fire, oh Karen. Refusing to comply? That's another fine. Karen screamed. Fire, I want to speak to the president. The enforcer laughed. Fire, you're not allowed to question authority, Karen. She fell to her knees. Fire, for the first time in her miserable life, she understood what it felt like to be powerless. She had spent years controlling others. Now, Fire, the system she created controlled her. And it would, forever. Fire, Karen Mitchell will never hold power again. Fire, she will follow every impossible rule. Fire, she will never escape HOA hell. Lisa leaned back, sipping her drink. Fire, do you think she's still screaming? Mark laughed. Fire, oh yeah. And every second of it is justice. I smirked. Fire, good. That's exactly what she deserves. Because Maplewood Estates? Fire was finally, permanently HOA free. And Karen Mitchell? Fire was punished. Forever.